By Angelo, Mobile Bay Coins, 2204 Government Street. Angelo, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, sir.
I'll be at Mobile Bay Coins later this morning from 9 to 10 with a live Ask the Expert that you can hear on News Radio 710 WNTM. So one of the big stories being followed all over the country, and I guess internationally now, is that the president continues to lash out at Jeff Sessions. There were stories that before we started the show this morning, there were stories about the president allegedly talking to people about replacements for Jeff Sessions. That he wants to get rid of him, and looking at people like Rudolph Giuliani, Ted Cruz, somebody else for Attorney General. And those are, you believe them or not, we don't know if anybody will really put their name on those stories or not as far as a source. But the president has already tweeted this morning at Jeff Sessions, saying that Jeff Sessions is weak on Hillary. So he called him beleaguered yesterday in a tweet.
And then calls him out on Hillary this morning.
Right. Yesterday's tweet was about that he was beleaguered and he ought to be investigating Hillary. And then this morning, the president tweets, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. Where are emails and DNC server and Intel leakers? But now, I just want to point out, we had the caller last week, Solomon, who was claiming that this was wrestling.
Right.
I also talked to a businessman in Mobile over the weekend who was telling me that he thought this was all some grand strategy to create the perception that they're at odds when they're really not going to be.
Right.
So I think a lot of this might be wishful thinking, because it looks like he really is very upset with Jeff Sessions, and it looks like he's trying to get Jeff Sessions to resign so that he doesn't have to fire him.
But again, if you start looking at some of these things and what people are talking about, you know, that old phrase, good cop, bad cop.
Right.
People play all the time.
I hope that's right.
Because you think about this, if all of a sudden he's saying, you're not tough enough, you're not hard enough, and Sessions releases some things, it's going to look like they were at odds, and it's going to make things more believable. If they're buddy-buddy about this and Jeff Sessions releases information, it looks everybody's going to scream collusion.
Look, I hope it is wrestling. I hope it is.
That would be nice if it is.
But it doesn't. It looks more like he wants Jeff Sessions to quit, because if he fires him, he's going to have to get an attorney general approved.
Right.
And that'll be much harder the next go round.
Well, yeah, because first of all, nobody wants the job at that point, because you're going to get fired in 90 days.
Well, somebody's going to want the job, but a lot of the Senate remembers that they like Jeff Sessions.
Oh, yeah. He's been around a long time.
So this is, I hope it's wrestling. I do.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
No big traffic problems, and for a change, no big weather problems to mess up your drive-in this morning. So good news all around. We really just don't have much out there. This still early stage of the morning drive. Sun's coming up over a very quiet picture throughout the area. Road work in Fairhope continues on Battles Road between Section Street and Highway 98. Drainage improvement project there continues through the end of the month. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by the Foundation for a Better Life.
She didn't just visit the sick and poor. She moved in with them because they needed help. Mother Teresa couldn't do it all, but she gave her all. Compassion. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Gulf Coast weather from Local 15 and the Gemco Metal Buildings Weather Center.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. Another tropical day along the Gulf Coast. High temperatures will top out in the upper 80s. We are going to have about a 60% chance of storms for today. Keep the umbrella close. Lows tonight will be in the 70s. And Wednesday, we're going to drop it down to a 40% chance of wet weather. Highs soar back into the 90s. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by the Foundation for a Better Life.
When Marlon Shirley was 5, he lost his foot. Today, as the world's fastest amputee, he runs the 100 meters in less time than it takes to listen to this. Overcoming. Pass it on. from a foundation for a better life.
Your home for traffic and weather on the 9s every morning. This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk with NBC News radio correspondent Bill Zimfer about sanctions on Russia. There is legislation that will the president sign it or not, that would impose sanctions on Russia. We'll get into all of that in about 10 minutes. Angelo's here from MobileBayCoins.com. I'll be there today from 9 to 10. There's another story out about, can money buy happiness? Scientists say they've got the proof that yes, money can buy happiness. Now, this is how it can buy happiness. Have you already heard this?
I have not, so I'm interested in this.
This is how it allegedly can buy happiness. And that is that if you spend your money paying other people to do time-consuming things that you don't like doing.
Right.
And that, because time is worth more than anything else. Experiences are worth more than anything else. So if you pay somebody to do time-consuming chores, then that can actually buy happiness, that you'll be happier. So they're saying that I should pay somebody to mow my grass, is what they're saying. That's what they're saying, that I should pay somebody to mow my grass, that I should pay somebody to clean the interior of my home.
Right.
That I should, I'm trying to think of the other things.
Well, I can see, I agree with that to a point. I see that, but you've also got to balance things out. If you don't have that money to pay those people, and it puts you in another situation, you're either working harder or more. You've got to balance out, like you said, time. So if you have the money, pay somebody to do that to free up that time. But if you're paying somebody that money, which makes you have to go work harder to get more money, then you've not freed up the time and balanced it out.
Now, Harvard Business School got several thousand people that they did this study with people in the U.S., Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, and the people in the study paid an average of $147 per month to people to do these chores for them.
Right.
And they claim that the people had higher life satisfaction when they did this, that for what they lost in money, they made up for in happiness.
Just depends on your budget. If you can spare $150 a month, then yeah, go for it. But if you can, if your budget, there's a lot of folks out there that have a very, very restrictive budget.
Of course.
So that's one of those studies that's a little bit of a fluff piece in my mind.
Well, I guess if you've got the money to spend, then it can buy happiness, but it's not buying an object. It's paying somebody to do things for you.
Right. And at the same time, money is not, I think what that is supposed to really mean is money is not the root of happiness. Acquiring money does not make you happy. But
spending it wisely.
Having money and being able to spend it wisely and give yourself free time, yes, that would make you happy.
So you can always tell people want to know what to get you for your birthday or for Christmas. You can tell them, but just mow my grass.
There you go.
Or come clean my house. Because
that is true.
That would truly translate into happiness if you were to come clean the house.
Get up on my roof and get all the pine straw and leaves off the roof.
I'm getting to that.
No, I'm saying that would make me happy.
All right, well,
do that at my house.
I've got that problem myself, and I'll get to it eventually, or pay somebody to, if I can figure out how to work it into the budget.
When it comes to office machines, great service is a priority. So trust the local folks with 45 years of service right here in our area. CPC Office Technologies has built their reputation on great service. As your authorized dealer for Ricoh, Sharp, Lexmark, Miratech, and Hassler, they're your one source for digital copiers, MFPs, and mailing equipment. CPC Office Technologies, proudly celebrating 45 years of providing service that can't be copied. Online at cpctek.com.
I'm Uncle Henry, a customer of Heads Heating and Air Conditioning. I've used them for maintenance and for when my...
And we're here on Facebook. Good morning to you, the Facebook person. We're going to be back on the radio in just a few minutes. Right now it's me and Angelo, and we're waiting for Bill Zimfer to call in from NBC News Radio. Angelo, you bring edged weapons all the time.
Yes, sir.
To the program. Is there another one that we can show that's in just the few minutes we've got here?
Sure. Here you go. And this one, very simple. See the little tab on the very back?
Yes.
If you flip that aggressively, a little more aggressively than that, that would flip right
Now, what
open.
was wrong with the way I pressed the tab?
Now we have to undo. Did you get the lock?
It was not aggressive enough?
No, flick it.
What?
A little more than that, and it
What do you
snaps
mean?
right open. There you go.
Dadgummit, that was
there
enough.
There you go. Good job, Uncle Henry.
Do the tab more aggressively. All right, what is this called?
A pocket knife? Uncle Henry, it's a Benchmade. I'm sorry.
I'm frustrating Angelo. You're frustrated with me this morning. Is that the case, Angelo?
No, not at all. Not at all. I did not sleep much last night, so I'm probably a little goofier than normal. That's actually a Benchmade pocket knife. It has a stone-washed finish on the blade, which is an unusual finish. Just like people are doing stone-washed jeans and all sorts of other things, they're now trying to do different unusual finishes on knives to try to sell more. And that also has a unusual texture to the handle as well. I like Benchmade in general. They're a very good knife, very well made, quality knife, quality product. However, there are a lot of knockoffs of the more expensive Benchmades that are out there, so I don't tend to collect them myself because of that reason.
All right, that is a beautiful knife. Stone washed. That'd make a good fidget spinner. A stone washed fidget spinner.
Yeah, they don't take fingerprints and things like that as well, because it's sort of a dull matte finish, but it's textured a little bit. So if you do get fingerprints on it, you can't really see them as much as if it's a shiny finish like that.
Okay. Angelo's a knife expert. He owns between 300 and 400 knives. Never brandishes, never menaces with his knives. All right, Bill Zimfer. We're going to get to Bill Zimfer right after traffic and weather and find out about this legislation, Russia sanctions. What does Russia think? We'll get into all of this right after traffic and weather here with Bill Zimfer. Stand by for Bill Zimfer.
How to save money. Learn how to shop for homeowners insurance and get the right coverages. Learn how to re-roof your house with a fortified roof that's safer and can increase your property values. And learn how to save all the time by being more energy efficient. You'll find information and resources at smarthomeamerica.org. Build a stronger home, save money, and get the right insurance with smarthomeamerica.org.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Dean McCrary Audi Traffic Center.
No big traffic problems, and for a change, no big weather problems to mess up your drive-in this morning. So good news all around. We really just don't have much out there. This still early stage of the morning drive. Sun's coming up over a very quiet picture throughout the area. Roadwork in Fairhope continues on Battles Road between Section Street and Highway 98. Drainage improvement project there continues through the end of the month. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by Compassion International. Every child is born with talents, hopes, and dreams, but poverty will steal those dreams. You can help a child find hope when you become their sponsor with Compassion International. Give a child a chance to dream again. Find out how at compassion.com/radio.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. Our torrential potential today at 60%. Due to the rain, cooled air, and additional cloud cover, our highs today will top in the upper 80s, lows tonight in the 70s, and then for Wednesday, a 40% chance of storms. Late week, we're going to have more heat and less in the way of wet weather. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
Traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s every morning. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show, News Radio 710 WNTM 99.5 FM The Jag. You can also watch on the News Radio 710 WNTM Facebook page. Angelo's here today from Mobile Bay Coins, and we've got NBC News Radio correspondent Bill Zimfer with us. Bill Zimfer, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Henry.
Great to have you back with us. And this legislation involving sanctions with Russia, Now, is the president really going to sign this?
Well, I think he has to. I think he will sign it. It's going to be interesting, though, because if he does approve it, this also includes a provision that the president would have to go back to Congress before he would ease any of the sanctions. So it kind of takes away his autonomy there and his cabinet's autonomy. For instance, if Secretary of State Tillerson would go to Russia and say, look, if you guys do this, we'll remove some of these sanctions. Can't do that without going back to Congress. So if he approves it, he's got that provision to deal with. If he vetoes it, then you're telling Congress, okay, wait a minute, you guys finally got together on a bipartisan plan, and I vetoed it. That doesn't look good. And it also looks like, again, people will say, well, I guess Russia does have you in their pocket because you just vetoed sanctions against them. So it's kind of a tough spot for the president, but I think he would have to sign it if it gets to him.
So, and it's hard to imagine him signing it, but then again, it's hard to imagine him not signing it. This is a really odd spot that he's in with this particular piece of legislation. So what do the Russians think about this?
Well, the Russians are a little skeptical, little wary of the whole thing, Uncle Henry, because, number one, they say we're going to wait. We'll reserve judgment until we see a final thing because, as we all know, it could take a lot of twists and turns before you get there. But they also say their foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, came out with a comment where he said he believes that Washington is suffering from an epidemic of paranoid Russophobia, as he called it. So they are a little confused by this whole thing because, on one hand, the U.S. is saying we need to improve relations and we want to be your friends and we want to be your allies, but behind the back, they're putting more sanctions out there. So it's almost like the Wizard of Oz when they say, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. We're trying to do this thing over here. So Russia is a little bit wary and skeptical.
Now, is Russia... I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but Bill Zimfer, what do the Russian people make of what's going on in our country with this big fight over Russia and President Trump? Are they paying as close attention to it as we are?
I don't think they're paying as close attention to it. As a matter of fact, I think most of them think it's all a bunch of malarkey. So I don't think that is getting a whole lot of press in Russia and a whole lot of attention in Russia. The meddling in the U.S. election is not dominating headlines in Russia.
And again, you may not be able to speak on this, but I know you've seen these reports that Rex Tillerson might be upset enough to try and step down as Secretary of State.
Well, yeah, I have seen those reports, and Rex Tillerson is another person, much like Donald Trump, who is in a position where he came into politics. He was not a politician, came into politics from business where he was the guy who would make the final decisions, yes or no, on things. And he's finding out that it's a little bit more difficult in politics. You can't have the final say on anything, even if you're the president, because you have to go through Congress and you have to have other approvals as well. So Rex Tillerson is becoming a little bit frustrated. Things that he is trying to accomplish are being undermined other ways, either politically or just bureaucratically. So it's a frustrating situation for a guy who's used to being the boss.
All right. Well, when Bill Zimfer, when will the president get this legislation to sign or not sign on Russian sanctions? Well,
the House votes on it today. If they approve it, it moves on to the Senate, and there are some questions there whether it can get through. So it would have to go through the Senate before it then goes to the president. All
right. Bill Zimfer, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and good to be back with you.
Thank you. There he goes, Bill Zimfer, NBC News Radio. And that is it's an odd situation the president's in that legislation because when he signs it, he limits himself.
Right.
He limits himself, and no president would really want to limit their own limit themselves in any way.
Well, no, and he's already shown that he doesn't want to be limited. He wants to be the one signing the order or whatever.
But as Bill Zimfer pointed out, if he doesn't sign it, then people go, "Oh, there
you go.
He really is in the pocket of the Russians." So it's an odd spot for the president to be in. I do remember that before, many years before Trump came on the scene, in studying the way politics works in Russia, that there are a lot of instances where the Russian people did not like Putin.
Right.
The thing that they liked, though, was anytime he was in great opposition to the U.S.
Sure.
That they liked it when he rattled the saber against our country. That there's still a lot of animosity there.
Well, I mean, that's been built up for years, that we are the enemy, that we're the bad guys. It's the evil American, capitalist empire. So they've had that culture, and they've been trained and taught that for years and years and years.
Well, it's been a long time since the wall came down.
Right.
And I didn't realize that there's a generation that has grown up that still has some hard feelings.
Well, they're still there, but they're getting older. There's younger generations that are much more interested in coming to the United States, checking things out, or they're just simply indifferent. We don't bother them, they don't bother us. They've got other things they're doing. But you're right, those folks are still there that are very anti-American.
Uncle Henry Show. Again, I'll be at Mobile Bay Coins today from 9 until 10 with a live episode of Ask the Expert. That can be heard on News Radio 710 WNTM. Much more show to come. Stick with us. And we're still here on Facebook. Now, do you need to go get coffee or go to the men's room?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure, Angelo?
I am sure.
Because we are in a break. You can actually use the break.
I think I'm good right now, actually.
All right.
Still got about a quarter of a cup of coffee.
All right. Before I show this to the camera, let me find our see if we've got some viewers here on Facebook, because we're in a new hour of broadcast, 6 o'clock hour, and I want to make sure that I've shared the video to a wide variety of Gulf Coast residents. Here we are. So stand by. Tuskers is there. Tuskers, good morning to Tuskers. KP watching the program. Good morning to KP. Scotty White of ScottyWhite.com. Scotty, somebody out of Virginia bought Jeff Sessions, or they bought SessionsForGovernor.com.
Nice.
Somebody out of Virginia.
So somebody is planning ahead.
Graham Green. Good morning to Graham. Good morning to Bama Big Man. Roll Tide Roll, Bama Big Man. And I'm sharing that, just taking the time to share the video so that other late risers will know that the Uncle Henry Show is available to them on Facebook. Now, I'm a little, Angelo just handed me this is bullion, correct?
Yes, sir. That's a bar of gold. I didn't know if you wanted to do that or if you wanted to do some kukri brandishing again.
We'll brandish the kukri several times before we leave the studio, because the kukri should be brandished as often as possible. I think people need to see the kukri. But I'm a little uncomfortable because Angelo brought in a bar of gold. Gold is expensive.
Yes, it is.
It is a precious. When you use the word precious and metal together, this is pretty precious.
And that's usually what people are thinking of when you talk about bullion. They're thinking about a bar. They're usually thinking about gold. And the thing is, bullion does not have to be rectangular in shape. You could have a silver round or a gold round or a gold bar. You could have an American Gold Eagle or a Cougarand, that even though they are coins, they're really bought and sold and transacted based off the metal value. There's not that much of a collector's value of some of those things.
Now, this is how do you pronounce it? Credit what?
Credit Suisse.
Credit Suisse. And are these popular?
Very popular.
Why?
It's a 999, so 49's fine, gold bar. Credit Suisse is a very reputable company, been around a long time. And the premium over spot price for gold, in other words, how much you pay for it, is not terribly expensive.
Okay, so this is an ounce of gold.
Yes, sir. And they make those everything from 1 gram, which is a really tiny little bar, all the way up to the 1 ounce size. They actually make larger sizes than that, up to about a 10 ounce size, but we normally don't carry those there at the shop. 1 ounce is about the biggest piece of gold we normally have in stock.
And something about it called out to you, and you felt you needed to bring it in today.
Yeah, just thought I'd drop it on by.
I don't think you've ever brought gold in. I
have not. Actually met up with a customer the other day and picked up some gold, so I figured we could do some brandishing of some gold too, and that one would fall out of the case, so you just have to be careful. If it falls out, just pick it up.
What is this?
That's a quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle.
Oh, this is made by
The United States Mint.
United States Mint.
Yes, sir. That is a quarter of an ounce of gold, and the American Gold Eagles are not pure gold. They're 90% pure. So if you put that on a scale, it actually weighs more than a quarter of an ounce, but it contains 1/4 of an ounce of gold, and then it contains an additional 10% of copper and silver alloyed with that gold to make it a stronger metal, to make it a stronger coin, less easy to damage.
All right, now, is that as popular as the bar you just showed me?
They're both very popular. Probably American Gold Cougarans and American Gold Eagles are probably the most popular down here. And then the bars and Canadian Maple Leafs and Pandas and things like that sort of run a distant second or third.
Who makes the Panda?
The Chinese government, Chinese Mint.
Okay.
Very pretty design, but they've done some things in the last few years that have created a little bit of controversy.
Who wants to buy Chinese gold?
Lots of folks do. Again, they're very popular. They were very collectible at one point. A couple years ago, one thing the Chinese government did that shocked a lot of people, a troy ounce is 31.1 grams, and the Chinese government decided instead of making a 1 troy ounce silver piece or a 1 troy ounce gold piece, they rounded it down to 30 grams. So it's not a full ounce, but yet you're paying the full price, just like you would for a full ounce. And a lot of people were very bothered by that.
All right, well, that's... thank you for bringing in gold.
Not a problem.
It caught me off guard.
I didn't mean to startle you or confuse you there.
Well, it is startling to
It was
have...
the glare.
It is to... anytime I'm around something really expensive, I come from a family where we never had anything expensive, so I'm very nervous around expensive items. In fact, we have a recording device that is ridiculously priced that I'm always worried to carry it around because it's like an $800-900 recording device.
Right.
By the way, shouldn't cost that much in my opinion in modern times. Seriously.
Right.
Somebody sells you a recording device, it shouldn't cost $800 or $900.
What is this thing recording?
When sound.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I was wondering because I'm thinking at first
because we record our reviews on this.
Right.
Which is not $800 or $900.
I'm thinking for $800 or $900, you could have some device that would fly around recording sound and video and fly around the room.
Well, I don't know why these devices cost so much. In fact, when I wanted to go get one myself so that I wouldn't have to keep asking people here to use it. And then when I went out and priced it, I thought, okay, never mind.
That's why I don't have one.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So, but I'm nervous when I use that. I'm nervous around the expensive items. I'm a dropper, Angelo.
Are you?
I'm a dropper.
I am as well. Hence the heavy case, the fat case on my phone. And a lot of people have asked me, it's like, why do you get a slim phone and then wrap it in a big fat case? It's like, well, because I'm going to drop it.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It's going to hit the ground.
I did have my phone was run over by a car, not this phone, but another, and the OtterBox did protect most of my phone from being run over by a car.
I had the same thing happen a couple years ago. Now, the screen cracked,
right,
but the phone still worked.
Yes.
And that was pretty impressive.
Yes.
And that's why, again, OtterBox from me as well, for exactly that reason.
Does OtterBox make anything that you can put a Silver Eagle in? Do you have a Silver Eagle OtterBox?
I do not, but as a matter of fact, some people will use the Pelican cases. I don't know if you've ever seen those. It's a very heavy-duty, durable case. They use it for expensive electronics and equipment like that, and I actually saw somebody at one of the coin shows that had a very heavy-duty Pelican case he was packing his expensive items in that he was going to carry on the plane. And then he started thinking, he said, why do I do this? I'm not going to drop it or break it. And he goes, now it makes it look like I've got something valuable. Maybe I should just put this in a regular carry-on.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it was funny. I didn't even have to. I just looked at him, and he had this whole conversation about why he should change his habits.
All right, stand by. We're back on the radio in less than 20 seconds.
1575 800 960 1575.
News? Check. Traffic and weather? Check. Opinions? Check. This is the Uncle Henry Show, only on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Here with Angelo, MobileBayCoins.com. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Joe Gomez. NBC News Radio, we're going to talk to him about the Kushner talk yesterday and also the president on health care. And maybe Joe Gomez has been watching the president's Twitter like I have this morning, and maybe he can tell us anything new on Jeff Sessions. If you have not been paying attention, there was the story, I guess late yesterday or last night, the Associated Press claiming that the president is already looking at possible replacements for Jeff Sessions. And then this morning, really early this morning, the president tweeted again about Jeff Sessions, saying Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. Where are emails and DNC server and intel leakers? So the president continuing, and we talked about this earlier in the hour, that there are some people that are claiming or hoping that this is all some master strategy.
Some sort of weird posturing event that's going on out there?
Some strategy, some Vince McMahon-ish type strategy. I don't know that I subscribe to that. This just looks like quite a public hammering,
right?
Where the president doesn't want to have to fire him because of all the different ramifications. He would have to get another attorney general through the confirmation process,
right?
And it would be easier for the president if Jeff Sessions voluntarily left. I don't know that Jeff Sessions wants to,
right?
So it just looks this is very awkward.
Well, it certainly is, and I can see both sides of this, and I would be really happy if this was just some sort of posturing to try to distance themselves a little bit, so whatever it is that Jeff is working on right now, when he releases that, people don't scream collusion or something along those lines.
Well, it's I hope there's something other than what it looks like, because it just looks rough.
I would just love for things to start getting done up in Washington. Get something done, for goodness sakes.
I don't know. We're not in the get things done era at this point. We're not living in the get things done time.
That is true. So I guess that old phrase, get her done, is sort of gone now.
Thank you very much, Angelo, for a get her done reference on the Uncle Henry Show. But Jeff Sessions, so what's his future? If Jeff Sessions is forced out, if the president fires him, or if he feels like he's got to step down due to mean tweets, what would be the
mean tweets?
What would be would he come back to Alabama and run for governor? Would people want that?
Yes, that would be a great thing.
Do you think people would want that? I know there are a lot of candidates that wouldn't want that because they want to be governor.
Mean tweets sounds like a new video game, though, or new app for your phone.
Someone has purchased sessionsforgovernor.com. I can confirm that. Someone has purchased sessionsforgovernor.com.
Time saver traffic from the Dean McCrary Kia Traffic Center.
Road work on the board includes the ongoing closure of Leroy Stevens Road between Watercourt and Carrington Drive. That's for upgrades to the roadway expected to run through the early part of the fall. Non-local traffic is detouring using Dawes Road to get around the construction. No big accidents on the board presently. It's been a quiet start on that front, at least so far. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by Compassion International. The future is bleak for a child living in poverty. No school, no dreams, no hope. But you can change all that when you become a Compassion Child sponsor. Just a little more than $1 a day brings hope. Find out how at compassion.com/radio.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. Another tropical day along the Gulf Coast. High temperatures will top out in the upper 80s. We are going to have about a 60% chance of storms for today. Keep the umbrella close. Lows tonight will be in the 70s. And Wednesday, we're going to drop it down to a 40% chance of wet weather. Highs soar back into the 90s. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News and this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by Unbound. There's a girl in El Salvador who dreams of becoming an engineer. There's an elder in Uganda who dreams of having a community to call his own. No two dreams are the same. Help one person achieve theirs at unbound.org.
Your home for Rush every weekday at 11. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show, thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Coming up in about 10 minutes, Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent. Kushner, healthcare, maybe Jeff Sessions. We'll get into all of that with Joe Gomez. On the local level, there was some controversy over the amusement park that opened Friday in Foley, OWA, with weight restrictions on their website for people to ride some of the rides, and there were people upset because women were singled out. They were told that for safety purposes, women, specifically women over 200 pounds, couldn't ride the ride, and if they had a size 18 or bigger dress. And so this caused just some type of social media hissy fit of people being upset about, I don't know if it was because women were singled out or because people of larger carriage were being singled out. Yes, Angelo?
I'm going to interject there just for a second. Part of the statement originally was, I thought it said either men, if you have a waist size of 40 or larger, a chest size of 52 or larger, or you wear a dress size 18. To me, what gets me about that is that's not really, women don't normally know waist and chest sizes that much that I know. Maybe they do, but men's clothes are sold in chest sizes and waist sizes. Women's are in these weird mystery sizes that they use. And so by putting it in those terms, that's how somebody can easily address whether or not they fit those guidelines.
Well, people very angry, and OWA has come out and said they didn't mean to hurt your feelings if you wear a size 18 or larger dress. Now, let me go into the email inbox. Subject line on the email is Roll Tide Unk. Email reads, good morning, good two for Tuesday. How y'all doing? Everything A-OK here in West Loxley. How about that story regarding OWA? No fat people, LOL. Hey, if you're too big, the ride may not support your girth. And that email from 60-year-old Chris in West Loxley, who adds, P.S., remember, don't draw conclusions. 39 days, Roll Tide Roll. Chris, thank you for your Roll Tides. Roll Tide Roll! There's a Roll Tide for you. Also reminding us, I guess I should think of Coach Saban when I'm reading all these stories about Jeff Sessions and OWA.
Don't draw conclusions, because if you do, you're going to be wrong.
All right. Well, I hope you're right and that I'm wrong about the conclusions I'm drawing from the Donald Trump tweets. Chris, thank you. Let me go into the email inbox. Another OWA email. Subject line on the email is OWA rides. Email reads, good Tuesday, Henry and Angelo. Sounds like it may be easier to get on an airplane than ride the roller coaster at OWA. How are they going to enforce these restrictions? Talk about your uncomfortable pat downs. Wow. And that email from the common man. Yes, we had talked about this earlier. Angelo and Ariel both brought up that it's 2017 and you go into many establishments along the Gulf Coast and there's no one there under 200 pounds.
Right.
So where are we going to get the skinny people necessary to ride these rides?
Short lines, though.
Right. Well,
short lines for the skinny folks.
I don't know if we're going to have to bus in skinny people from Colorado or some skinny state. All right, Joe Gomez next on the Uncle Henry Show.
Rush Limbaugh.
Hang on, let me check something here real quick.
No distraction can stop the dissemination of truth.
Damn it, screw it.
Today at 11, News Radio 710, WNTM.
No representation is made. The legal services performed are greater than the quality of legal services of others.
Bill Brooks here in the iHeartRadio.
Here we are. And hey, Facebook, waiting for Joe Gomez to call in, NBC News Radio national correspondent. Before we get to Joe Gomez, Angelo's here. Can I play with your kukri again?
Can I play with your kukri?
This is Angelo's kukri he brought in. Tell these late risers what the kukri is.
It's a Nepalese Gurkha knife.
Nepalese means it's from Nepal.
There you go. The Himalayas.
Not Naples, Florida.
No.
Nepal.
Not a Nepalese, but a Nepalese. It's a Gurkha knife. It's a fighting knife. Originally, they believe.
Fighting. Now you said it was a farming tool.
Originally,
and now it's a fighting knife.
It was originally used as a farming tool, and then adapted for use in combat. A lot of things were adapted that way. People used pitchforks to throw hay and straw and things like that, and then if something happened, you grabbed what you had available to defend yourself, and then it gets converted into a level of weapon. Most people didn't have the luxury of having a whole bunch of farming tools and then a whole bunch of weapons laying around, so they had to adapt.
You can buy this at Mobile Bay Coins.
Yes, you certainly can.
You've got a kukri at Mobile.
We have a couple of them.
Is it with a C or a K?
K.
K-O-O?
K-U-K-R-I.
K-U. I don't like words that have the letters U and K in them a lot.
Or
really
it
don't.
could be K-H-U-K-U-R-I.
Whatever.
Kukri.
It's a kukri. And this is not plastic.
Nope.
That
was a good sound. I like that.
This could harm an individual. Did you see, I talked to Angela about this earlier this morning. There's a video online about somebody tried to rob a Starbucks in California, and a 58-year-old man picked up a chair in the Starbucks and come up behind this robber and clobbered him with the chair.
The robber should be glad. If the boy had a kukri on him, he might not have a head right now.
Yeah, well, or a hand, because
Right.
the guy was holding a fake gun, but nobody knew it was fake.
Right.
But the guy picks up the chair and clobbered him, and then
Good for him.
they got into a dramatic grapple as they wrestled for their lives. The 58-year-old man was stabbed,
Ouch.
but he's okay.
Well, good.
And the police did apprehend the guy trying to rob a Starbucks. I love holding the kukri. Machetes are great,
Aren't they awesome?
and this is even better than your average machete, because there's something about the curve of it that makes it more menacing.
Well, the curve, and with a lot of the weight concentrated towards the tip and the end of the blade there, if you were trying to chop a root out of the ground, or if you had some branches in the way and you're going to try to chop those out of the way, it works very, very effectively.
Okay. All right, we're about to go back on the radio in about 90 seconds as we anticipate a call from... Thank you for bringing the kukri.
Oh, you're very welcome.
This is something that... And it's legal to carry in Alabama if I openly carry it.
Correct.
So I could strap this to my belt.
Or you could wear it in some sort of harness with the handle sticking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
But again, don't carry it concealed. That is illegal.
Right, well, I watched a few episodes of the Iron Fist show.
Right.
And there's a woman in that show that carries a sword on her back all around New York City.
Yeah, you'd think in New York that's probably going to be a problem.
Well, I guess it wasn't.
Well, not in the filming, but I think in reality it would be a bit different.
All right.
I think California and New York, either one, because you told us on this show a few weeks back that machetes are now, the sale of machetes.
They've become a
now
gang. Yeah, they've become a
gang symbol.
Unfortunately, a gang weapon in some parts of the country, and they're having to have machete control.
Machete control.
I can't put the kukri in its kukri sheath. Thank you, Angelo.
Yes, sir.
I feel like a child. I can't operate the kukri. All right, Joe Gomez is calling in. Stand by.
Lows tonight in the 70s, and then for Wednesday, a 40% chance of storms. Late week, we're going to have more heat and less in the way of wet weather. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
We love Nick Saban. Just wanted to get that out of the way. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Angelo's here. We've got Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent. Joe Gomez, good morning.
Good morning.
We're all in a state of agitation over these tweets about Jeff Sessions, but I want to ask you about a few other things, Joe Gomez, if you don't mind. The whole Kushner thing yesterday, how did that go?
It seemed to go over pretty well. I mean, I think that Kushner was obviously trying to be as transparent as he possibly could be. He released this statement that he was going to be making to the Senate Intelligence Committee beforehand. It was this 11-page document outlining all of his contacts that he had with anybody from Russia. If they were a banker, if they were an official from the Russian government, like the ambassador to Russia, and any attempt to try to set up a secure line with the Russian government during the transition, which he said was basically just so the Trump campaign, or the incoming Trump administration, rather, could have some way to discuss conflicts in Syria or international policy that might be applicable to Russia, which is not something I think that's uncommon from other past transition teams that we've seen with any candidate that's been elected president. So he did that, and then he also made a public statement afterwards. So it seems to me as though he was really trying to go overboard and being very transparent about what happened.
So he does all this, but is he being looked into by the special counsel?
I think to some degree he may be. Yeah, I mean, I know that he's also going to speak to the House Intelligence Committee today. I mean, there's no real way to tell, I guess, whether or not he's still being looked into by special counsel Bob Mueller. All we have are secondhand reports because Bob Mueller's not going to make any kind of public pronouncement on this until after the investigation is wrapped up. So. But I think that what he's trying to do is just basically put it all in public. That way there's nothing that's going to creep up on him at the last minute.
You're listening to Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent. Now, on the topic of repealing and replacing Obamacare, did I see it right that the president talked about this to the Boy Scouts at their Boy Scout Jamboree?
Yes, he did. He was at the Boy Scouts Jamboree in West Virginia, which is not too far away here from Washington, D.C. And he was joined by Rick Perry, who's an Eagle Scout, and Ryan Zinke, his Interior Secretary, who's also an Eagle Scout, was dressed up like an Eagle Scout. And then Tom Price, Health and Human Services Secretary, who's a former Boy Scout. And so, during that I guess, rally that he gave before the Boy Scout Jamboree, Trump said that he wanted to basically do away with Obamacare, and then he threatened to fire Tom Price, Health and Human Services Secretary, if Tom Price didn't do a good job of rounding up the Republicans in Congress to vote to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Now, how was because that seems like an odd place to have this kind of a speech with Boy Scouts at the Boy Scout Jamboree. How did they react to the president? Did the Boy Scouts like having the president at the Jamboree?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a mixture of the Boy Scouts and probably their parents. I guess he had about 35,000 people turn out for this thing.
Wow.
And, obviously, the kids were very excited about seeing President Trump. I think when he said, you're fired, he did his, signature line from The Apprentice. That's when they really got a little bit crazy. That's when they, were really cheering. I'm not sure if they really understood healthcare policy. Somehow I doubt it, but they definitely saw they could probably understand how theatrical Trump was being with some of the things that he was saying, and so he was getting a stunning amount of cheers and chants of USA, USA. And there was even some boos, actually, when he referenced Obama's name, which was interesting.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, before we run out of time here we are. I'm doing my show in Jeff Sessions' hometown. These tweets, Joe Gomez, I've had a few people call in saying that they're hoping this is some type of WWE strategy. But to me, it looks like the president really is trying to get Jeff Sessions to quit so he doesn't have to fire him.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think that I would be surprised if Sessions made it through the end of the week. I mean, some people believe that Sessions may even quit before sundown, or that Trump may be forced to fire him, or something's going to happen here, because the anger that Trump is projecting at Sessions, calling him a beleaguered attorney general yesterday, today saying he's weak, essentially. He's saying that he has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. I mean, that was the first thing he tweeted out this morning. It's
Exactly.
He woke up angry. He woke up angry, and he just took to Twitter because he was so angry at Sessions he couldn't control it anymore.
Yeah, this is, and I guess from a political standpoint, it's bad either way, but it makes it a little bit easier on him if he doesn't have to fire him. It's a real, for those of us that have followed the career of Jeff Sessions, this is a really ugly way for it to come to an end.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I guess the whole recusal that Sessions did with the Russia investigation really upset Trump because I think he felt that it could have all gone away if Sessions decided not to recuse himself. So I think he's blaming all of this bad PR on Sessions. And maybe it's that Bob Mueller, the special counsel, actually is coming close to getting something or getting a hold of Trump's tax returns. And if that happens and they're leaked out, I think Trump would be extraordinarily upset, and there would be then I would imagine Sessions would probably leave if he got wind of that was going to happen before that happened.
All right, well, Joe Gomez, let's start the rumor. Jeff Sessions for Alabama governor 2018. We're going to start that right now. We do have a governor's race next year, and it's wide open, and I don't know about now, but he was probably the most popular political figure in the state for many, many years. So he can always come home.
Well, he might have to, depending on how things shake out in D.C.
All right. Joe Gomez, thank you.
All right, thanks.
There he goes, Joe Gomez, NBC News Radio national correspondent. So Joe Gomez saying possibly by sundown.
Yeah, that's a pretty clear definition there.
Sundown, that's almost like a Western.
That's what I was thinking too.
Some cowboy movie. Please get on the next stage.
Throws his hat in the dirt.
Leave. I want you out of the city limits by sundown. I really hope that isn't the case. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the